Have you ever heard of the story of Esther from the Bible? This tale is one of courage, faith, and unexpected heroism. Esther, a young Jewish woman of exceptional beauty and virtue, finds herself chosen to join the harem of King Ahasuerus, a powerful monarch. Yet her story doesn't end there. From these unlikely beginnings, Esther rises to become a queen, a position which places her at the heart of a looming crisis. You see, a grave threat hangs over her people. Haman, a high-ranking advisor to the king, harbors a deep-seated hatred for the Jews. His influence over the king sets a dangerous plot in motion, one that could spell disaster for Esther's people. Amid this brewing storm, Esther stands as the one beacon of hope. Join us as we delve deeper into the life of this remarkable woman and the critical role she played in history. The story of Esther begins with an unexpected twist of fate. This tale unfolds in the grand palace of King Ahasuerus, a man of immense power who ruled over a vast Persian empire. Among the countless women in his harem, one stood out like a lily among thorns: Esther, a young Jewish woman of extraordinary beauty and virtue. Esther, whose original name was Hadassah, was an orphan, raised by her cousin Mordecai. Her life took a dramatic turn when King Ahasuerus, dissatisfied with his current queen Vashti, sought a new queen to grace his throne. The king's men combed the empire, gathering the most beautiful women for the king's consideration. Among the chosen was Esther, plucked from her simple life and thrust into the opulence and intrigue of the royal harem. In the harem, Esther found herself in a world unlike any she had known. Yet even in these unfamiliar surroundings, she remained true to her virtues. She was modest, kind, and wise, qualities that set her apart from the other women. Her beauty was more than skin deep. It was the beauty of her spirit that truly made her shine. This inner radiance did not go unnoticed. Hegai, the king's eunuch in charge of the harem, was so impressed by Esther that he showed her special favor, providing her with the best place in the harem and 7 maidservants. When the time came for Esther to meet the king, she won his favor more than any of the other women. So smitten was King Ahasuerus with Esther that he placed the royal crown upon her head, making her queen instead of Vashti. But Esther kept her Jewish identity a secret, as Mordecai had instructed her. The king was oblivious to the fact that his new queen was a Jew, and so Esther, a simple Jewish girl, became the queen of a vast empire. Despite the grandeur and power that came with her new position, she remained humble and true to her faith. Little did she know that her ascension to the throne was just the beginning of a remarkable journey that would test her courage and faith like never before. While Esther was enjoying her new status, a dangerous plot was being hatched. On the stage of the Persian court, Haman, a high-ranking advisor to King Ahasuerus, was weaving a web of deceit. Haman bore a deep-seated grudge against the Jews, a grudge so profound that it extended beyond personal vendettas to an entire people. Haman's resentment was not passive. It was a seething, active hatred that sought to eradicate the Jewish people from the Persian Empire. With a cunning mind and a silver tongue, Haman manipulated the unsuspecting King Ahasuerus. He painted the Jews as a threat to the kingdom, as a people who did not respect the king's laws. Haman was persuasive, and King Ahasuerus, trusting his advisor, gave Haman his signet ring, symbolizing his authority to do as he saw fit. With the king's authority, Haman issued a decree under the king's name, a decree that spelled doom for the Jews. The decree authorized the people of Persia to rise against the Jews, to kill them, and to plunder their property. The 12th month, the month of Adar, was to be the day of their annihilation. The threat was real, and it was imminent. The Jewish people scattered throughout the provinces of Persia were unaware of the disaster that was about to befall them. A dark cloud of dread began to cast its shadow across the land, a shadow that threatened to extinguish the light of an entire people. Meanwhile, in the heart of the palace, Esther was oblivious to the impending doom. She was unaware that her people were marked for destruction, that her newfound status as queen bore an unexpected and heavy responsibility. The plot was set, the decree was issued, and a clock began to tick. A countdown to a disaster that could wipe out her people had begun. Unbeknownst to Esther, her people were on the brink of annihilation. The stage was set for a tale of courage, faith, and deliverance. A tale where Esther, a Jewish queen in a Persian court, would play the central role. But that's a story for the next scene. Despite the risk, Esther decided to stand up for her people. The stakes were high, the danger real. But in the heart of this unassuming queen thrummed a courage as potent as the rhythm of a mighty drum. Esther, a Jewish queen in the heart of Persia, faced a daunting choice. She could remain silent, hide her identity, and live in the comfort of her royal status, or she could risk everything, reveal her truth, and potentially save her people from annihilation. Esther's decision was not easy. The law of the land was clear. Any who approached the king uninvited risked immediate execution, unless the king, in his mercy, chose to extend his golden scepter and spare their life. Yet Esther was not a woman to be swayed by fear. She understood the gravity of the situation, the weight of the decision she had to make. With every heartbeat, she felt a connection to her people, to their history, their struggles, and their faith. It was this deep-seated bond, this unwavering faith, that propelled her forward. With a bravery that belied her tender years, Esther chose to approach the king, determined to reveal her true identity. She was a Jew, and she would not stand by while her people faced destruction. It was a significant risk, a gamble of the highest stakes, but Esther was not deterred. The prospect of death did not frighten her as much as the thought of her people's extinction. In the midst of uncertainty, Esther stood firm, her faith unwavering, her resolve unshakable. She had chosen to face the lion in his den, to risk the wrath of a powerful king, to stand up for what she believed in. She was ready to sacrifice her life if it meant saving her people. Her decision marked a turning point in her story, a moment of profound courage and faith that would forever etch her name in the annals of history. Esther was no longer just a queen. She had become a beacon of hope for her people, a symbol of bravery and resilience. Esther had chosen her path, fully aware of the danger that lay ahead. But she was not deterred. She knew the risk, she understood the cost, yet she chose to stand up, to speak out, to fight. It was a decision that would change the course of history. In a courageous act, Esther revealed the truth to the king. This marked the turning point in our story, a moment filled with suspense and high stakes. The banquet was set, the guests arrived, and the stage was set for an unforgettable revelation. Our heroine, Esther, with the wisdom of a queen and the heart of a lioness, seized the moment. With a voice steady and resolute, she revealed her true identity to the king. She was not just his queen, but a Jew, one of the very people who were to be annihilated by the decree. But she didn't stop there. Esther, with all eyes on her, turned towards Haman. She accused him, the king's trusted advisor, of plotting the destruction of her people. She revealed Haman's wicked intentions, his deep-seated hatred for the Jews, and his cunning manipulation of the king to authorize the decree. The room fell silent, the air thick with tension. The king, taken aback, was incensed by the revelation. The trusted Haman, the man he had regarded highly, had betrayed him, manipulated him, and plotted against his queen's people. And so, the wheel of fortune turned. The king, in his wrath, ordered Haman's execution. But not just any execution. In a poetic twist of fate, Haman was sentenced to the very fate he had planned for Mordecai, Esther's beloved cousin. Yes, Haman was to be hanged on the gallows he himself had constructed. It was a drastic turn of events, a banquet that started with laughter and merriment, ended in a shocking revelation and a villain's downfall. Haman's plot was exposed, his ambitions shattered, and his life ended all in a single night. In a twist of fate, the villain of our story met his end. The banquet was over, but the story of Esther's courage and faith, her selfless act that saved her people, was just beginning to echo through the ages. With Haman out of the picture, Esther had one more task to complete. Now, the king, touched by Esther's courage and honesty, granted her the authority to issue a new decree. This decree was not a small one, it was a lifeline for the Jewish people. It was a ray of hope amidst the looming darkness. It allowed the Jews to arm themselves, to stand up against those who sought to harm them. The result was nothing short of miraculous. The Jews, empowered by the decree, rose to defend themselves against their adversaries. What was once a day marked for their annihilation became a day of triumph. They overcame those who sought their destruction, turning the tables on their enemies. And so, through Esther's courage and faith, her people were saved. Her bravery and unwavering faith led her to become not just a queen, but a savior. Esther's story is a testament to the power of courage, faith, and the will to do what is right, no matter the cost.